Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Positive Club. Today, I'm at KKS Tactical. We are going to talk about firearms, the safety around it, and one of the amazing businesses that is selling these things, and they have a lot of knowledge about it. They have an amazing business story, and they're very, very kind to everybody in the community. I hope you enjoy it. Always remember, don't point the gun to yourself or anywhere else. Safety is always first.
I'm Cassie Premack. I'm the owner of KKS Tactical Supplies and 5 High Clothing. My husband, Dave, and I, we opened the storefront in 2019. Originally, it was a home-based business that started with binary exploding targets, and we would deliver them in the parking lot at Save on Foods, and kind of grew from there. We wanted to make changes and we wanted to be a part of our community. And we knew as business owners, we could take the money that we earn and the money that comes into our business and we could reinvest it into our community to make positive changes. We do that through all sorts of programs like the Hawk program and supporting local charities like Kyle's Kindness, and of just having our feet on the ground, going out and doing city cleanups and supporting our local sports teams and just building a happier and safer community for our family and everybody else's. One of the biggest things I've learned about business and being a business owner was to make sure you ask for help. Reach out to other resources. 5 tools that I've found effective for our business, for KKS and 5 High, have been social media, really taking advantage of things like Facebook and Instagram. It's been taking advantage of other advertising tools in our community, so things like the radio station, as well as local newspapers and magazines. It's also making sure that we're accessible to our community, that we are welcoming. That has been a huge tool for us. Our goal has always been to be a place where you can bring your family, and that I think has served us well in business. We've had quite a few challenges since opening our doors as a business, as a storefront. We had COVID and all of the uncertainties around the COVID and pandemic. We had legislation coming from federal government. We've had legislation coming from provincial government. And the ways that we've overcome that are by growing our business in other ways, by diversifying. We brought in things like the hydro dipping to KKS to make sure that we could still be a viable business when we were being threatened by other risk factors. Other things that have been really challenging for us have been growing our platform, growing our branding, growing our name. And we've made mistakes when we've done that. We've found things that weren't effective for us and spent money on parts of advertising that really didn't work for us. And then we found ways that were really effective for us. So it's just been a lot of trial and error, but our goal always has been just to keep moving forward. My husband and I, we run KKS, we run 5 High, we run all of our businesses as a team, and it's really important to us to do that. We both have the same work ethic, we both have the same values, and from my experience, having a partner who has those same values as you, having a partner who is looking for the same goals as you makes the most difference. We've tried partnerships in the past and found that it wasn't effective for us. So right now, with the way that our businesses are run, it's always myself and my husband, Dave. And whereas I'm the face and I'm out front and I'm friendly and I'm smiley, he has some incredible ideas and he is logistical and he can put things forward and does such a good job of making sure that the fine details are taken care of in our company. And when we say that our store is family, we're not all blood family. Actually, none of us are, to be honest. I'm married to Dave. We have Doc, who is my adopted dad, and we have Tally, who is like a sister to me, and I have Dawn, who's like more family. Every person who comes into our umbrella at KKS is family to us, and we treat it like that. But it's turned into a bit of a funny story. Most people now assume that Doc is my dad, and we've stopped correcting people. He's my dad, and Dave married in, and that's what we go with. Whereas Dave actually started KKS before him and I were married. But it's just one of those little things that's kind of come up, and we've just never corrected. Other funny stories for us are just parenting for me. I'm a mom first. That's the reason why being a business owner was so enticing to me, was that if my kids were sick or if something happened, they could come to work with me. So with the pandemic, they came to work with us often. And it's funny the things that they do. Our son James, he's 8 years old and he has autism, and his mannerisms are a little bit funny. He talks a lot. but he will say things really weirdly. And he was here the one day and behind me was an orange rifle, and he loves blaze orange. We dressed this poor kid up head to toe in orange. It's that way we can find him. He disappears a lot. And he tells me the one day as I'm going to tuck him in after he'd been here, he barely said a word. I didn't even know he noticed the gun. Mom, when are you bringing my gun home? So excited about it because it was orange, and everything that is orange just belongs to James. So one of the things that we really like to encourage at KKS is new shooters becoming a part of the sport, whether that's a new hunter or a new sports shooter. And we offer all sorts of small things to make that more enticing and more accessible to people. So recently this year, what we've started doing are introduction to firearms courses. And we take out groups of youth and groups of women, and we take them to the range and we talk to them about firearm safety. We talk to them about muzzle direction and trigger control, and to assume that every firearm is loaded, and all the key important pieces about firearm safety. And then we get them to try different types of firearms. So we have them try different types of 22s, and we try the different center fire rifles, some that they could use for target shooting, some that they could use for hunting. And then we also try handguns, and we've had parts of the PG Steel Shooters Club even come out and help us. And for us, that's really important. It means that people who are going to be accessing the firearms are going to do so safely. In Canada, to own firearms, you have to have what's called a PAL, a Possession and Acquisitions License. And you have to take a course to do that. But you can also learn about firearms without taking the course. You can learn about the firearm safety from having people who have a PAL taking you out and coming into stores like ours. The most important parts around firearm safety are making sure that you are always pointing it in a safe muzzle direction, that you're keeping your finger off the trigger unless you're on a safe target, and that you're storing your firearms correctly, making sure that they are inaccessible and that people aren't likely to steal them. It's really important in Canada and any other place to ensure that we are doing our part as firearms owners, as legal firearms owners, to keep our communities safe. Choosing your first gun is really a personal mission and a personal goal. It depends on what you want to do with it. If you are somebody who wants to hunt, then we can talk about what kind of hunting you want to do. Do you want to hunt deer? Do you want to hunt moose? Do you want to hunt rabbits? We can help you figure that out. Firearms are a tool, and that tool is different. If I wanted to cut wood, I wouldn't use a hammer. I'd use a different tool. So when you come into a store like ours, we'll ask you a bunch of questions. We'll ask you, what do you plan to do with it? Not because we're nosy, but because we want to help make sure that you get the right tool. If your goal is target shooting, then we'll talk about what kind of target shooting you want to do. Do you want to trap shoot? Do you want to choose a semi-automatic and shoot steel? What is your goal? Do you want a handgun? Handguns are a lot of fun. When I do my firearms courses, handguns are by far the best part, everyone says. We always save it for last, so I always end on a high note, but they're really personal. And then what fits your hand? How long of a stock do you need? Do you need a scope? How long do you want to shoot? So when you come into a store like ours, that's going to be a bunch of the questions you're going to hear from us. So I brought a couple of handguns out and a couple of, well, just a few firearms. One of the things that we do here at KKS is hydrographics. We did this Hulk gun because I love the pattern. I was really inspired by it. And this one here is a Iron Man 22 for a child. This guy here is a Smith & Wesson MP2. And just a great 9mm handgun for somebody who's just starting out and who wants to learn about target shooting. And of course, with any handgun, they're limited to use at the range, but it takes you to different ranges and lets you meet different parts of our firearms community, which is pretty cool. There's some really cool positive parts about firearms. You can be in control of your breathing. I actually equate target shooting to yoga. I think it's funny, but you're very present. It gives you an opportunity to take a step back from your craziness in your life and to just focus on one thing. There's immediate feedback. It's a lot of fun. And of course, firearms let me be safe when I'm out in the wilderness. They let me go into areas that I might not be comfortable by myself without a tool to keep me safe. And things like shotguns help me feel safer when I'm in grizzly country. A firearm is a tool. It's no different than me using a hammer or a saw or a vehicle to get around. Just use it responsibly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this segment of our show. It was amazing to interview Cassie and find out more about her business and what she does. It was a pleasure having you on our show, and I hope that your business gets so big that this place will be full of gold. The bullets will be gold, the tables will be gold, it'll just be a gold kind of a thing. And always be positive, because life is too short. And if you don't love what you're doing right now, get a side hustle and start working on it. And when it gets big, You can have a business and be happy
do
like
what we
this.
do.
Yeah. I hope that you enjoy this story. Learn how to create an image and brand yourself. Join our workshops waiting list.